Welcome to the channel. Today's topic is a little different. We found ourselves a hedgehog that needed rescuing. So here she is.
Do you want to say hello? She's a little shy. Let's see if we can get a hello out of her. Do you want to say hello? I know. See, she does a little happy grunt, but I'm not sure she's all that happy. I think she's working up to her poo. So what we'll do now, we will put her back, and we'll make do for the rest of the day without our little girl, and I think that'll make all of us a little happier. Yeah. So do you want to say goodbye one more time? You want to say goodbye? Ooh, that's sad. Okay. Oh, okay. We'll put you down. We'll put you right over there. Scuttle off. Oh. Do you want to go to your house? Do you want to go to your house? Go on. Go to your house. Good girl. Now we're happy. And we'll put a little blanket there as well. That way. She's peace and quiet. Okay.
This hedgehog came to us from our garden, actually. And what happened was that it was actually a very cold early December evening. And I was in the kitchen doing homework with one of the children when we noticed at the far end of the garden the light had come on, and we saw what we initially thought was a rat running about at the back of it. And we thought, well, it's a bit of a strange time, given how cold it's been the last few days, to have anything moving around in our garden other than next door's cats. So to have such a small creature, was a bit of a surprise. And we had a bit of a closer look, as much as we could from the kitchen, and we thought, this is a very strange rat because it hasn't got a tail. It was actually, so we sort of said, well, then it must be a hedgehog, but that couldn't be the case because it was too late in the year for hedgehogs to be out and about.
This is in December, isn't it?
This is in the first week or the first couple of days of December, and we'd just come through a very cold snap. But normally in the summertime, it's pretty commonplace to see hedgehogs in the garden because the neighbourhood is a very hedgehog-friendly place. I mean, everyone puts food out and hedgehog runs and all sorts of stuff. But it was just a bit weird to see one so late in the year.
Yeah, the thing that we have locally is there are quite a lot of hedgehogs in this garden. That we live in a very hedgehog-friendly neighbourhood, and there are openings to all the other gardens where we live, and so we get quite a lot of hedgehogs, and most people feed them as well. And I mean, we used to feed them quite regularly as well. And the record I had 3 adult hedgehogs all eating out of the same pot, which was quite a sight. We have, as of late, stopped feeding them, and that was perhaps a mistake. But there was an article, I forget where it was like Science or Nature, or a magazine like that, maybe even the Times, come to think of it, about how Surrey hedgehogs are getting so fat that they can't roll up anymore, and therefore become prey to foxes and all sorts of stuff. And apparently they also get so fat that they can't reproduce anymore. And on the strength of that article, we stopped feeding them. Although realistically we should probably have kept feeding them in the spring and in the autumn anyway, because in spring they come out of hibernation, and in the autumn, as we can see with our hedgehog here, she was a little bit, she clearly didn't find enough food to put the weight on. And that really brings me to when Joe mentioned that we had a hedgehog and that she didn't go out to grab it. I was actually quite upset because I thought it was so late in the year we'd never see her again. And it sounded really small from what you described, but I think she scuttled off behind the shed.
She ran off behind the shed. We were going to go out and investigate, but by the time we'd actually got our shoes and everything ready, some gloves, she'd actually run off, and we had, we thought perhaps behind the shed, and couldn't really trace her steps.
Yeah, and unfortunately the next 2 days were frost. It was very cold. And I did keep an eye out, and she didn't come. And on the 3rd day she didn't come either, and I was just going to bed. I was just lying in bed everything nice, just warming up beautifully, when I noticed, looking up against the ceiling, I saw the lights reflect from the halogens in the shed. I saw the lights going on, and I just knew it was a bloody hedgehog, and I really didn't want to get up and deal with it. And I had like that second's hesitation where you think, on one hand, it could just be a cat, but on the other hand, if I don't go out and get her now, I mean, she'll have no chance at all. So the initial rescue plan was really just to weigh her. So I just got up very quickly. Joe was lazy. Joe wouldn't get up.
It was very late at night.
Yeah, but I did. So I went downstairs, and I first saw her. She was just outside my shed here. And then I started looking for gloves. Hedgehogs are very spiky. And by the time I got the gloves, she had actually started coming towards me. And then I was looking for something to put her in. And by the time I found a sort of builder's barrel, one of those big cement mixing pots that we had left over, I ran out, and that's that she was at the decking, and she was actually looking at me. And so I went out and I grabbed her, and she instantly turned into a spiky ball of viciousness. And I brought her inside the house, and I got the kitchen scales, and I weighed her on that. And she came in on the 4th of December. She weighed 360 grams, which is very small. Now, a small hedgehog, you have really got two choices why they're small. The first one is that they are small because they are from occasionally the hedgehog sows will have a second litter, and so this could have been just a very young hedgehog, which is what I think. And the second possibility why it would be so small is because it's sick. They catch all sorts of illnesses and diseases. When it definitely became clear that she was too small to be set free again, I put her in one of those cement mixing vat sort of things that we had left over, and I put some newspaper at the bottom, and I gave her some water, and I gave her some dried cat food that we luckily bought the day before. And I then put her over the hot pipe that we have running in the kitchen. There's a spot where there's a warm radiator pipe running underneath, so it's always that little bit warmer. And then I built a little house out of cardboard. And then I turned the lights off and went back to bed.
Yeah, luckily when I got up the next morning, she'd had something to eat, which was good. She'd had something to drink, and there was quite a runny poo in the bottom of the box on the newspaper. And luckily you put some newspaper in there as well. Yeah. So that was a good sign that she was actually taking in some food and some water. Our next step was to find an animal sanctuary, a hedgehog rescue actually, to be more specific.
Yeah, this is predominantly because we didn't know whether she was sick. But I actually think that it's a very good first step anyway. The initial call I made was to a centre which was kind of like an umbrella over all the other rescue centres, and they recommended 2 numbers in Surrey. And then you called those. Yeah,
luckily the second one did answer, and they were actually very enthusiastic. And they had a whole program that they literally just described to me over the phone what they intended to do. They said, bring it in, and we want to check it firstly for lungworm, for pneumonia. If they're out this late in the year, there's a good chance they could have got sick. So that was going to be the first thing. They were going to check for fleas, for ticks, any other problems, parasites, things that, health issues for hedgehogs. And they actually did say, someone said either to you or to me, it was much better to take a hedgehog to a rescue centre rather than taking it to a vet.
Yeah, and there are an awful lot of rescue centres these days, predominantly because the hedgehog population has completely collapsed. Yeah. I read yesterday that there are only 1.5 million hedgehogs left.
That's very little.
In the UK.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that's down by a factor of 10, like in the 1980s or something.
It was a very short time.
Yeah. So really, every hedgehog counts, and
yeah.
So yeah, but the one thing we did sell him when we went to drop her off is we did say we want to get her back.
Yeah.
They called it fostering was the word they used.
Yeah.
So and they gave us a reference number as well, which I thought was very good. Just so you have a little number that you can check on the particular hog that you dropped off.
Yeah.
And we really wanted this one back because pretty sure we know the mother. I mean, she's about that big, the size of a football.
She might have been pregnant at the time.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. But, I mean, you know, there's a local hog. This is her home, and we kind of wanted her back here. And that, anyway, so they kept her, and that was it for a month, I think. We got her back just about a month later.
Yeah. Which was good in a way, because they did say, well, I did call up for a few updates, and they said, yes, well, you know, you can go through one treatment. So they said we've treated her for lungworm.
Yeah, with ivermectin. No doubt, ivermectin. I think, did they mention it?
They didn't mention exactly what it is, but it's the parasite issue. You know
they're hogging the medicine.
Yeah, very good. But definitely, ivermectin is one of the things that is used to treat the parasites.
And she got antibiotics as well.
And antibiotics, and they did take the time to make sure she was putting on weight.
Yeah, apparently it is quite difficult to when we found that she had the runs, and it is quite difficult to stop them from having the runs.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things they said to us when we got her back is just be really careful. Too much jelly in the diet, and they get the runs, and it's very difficult to wean them off that.
Yeah.
But they were excellent. I thought they were. I mean, other than the fact I would have liked to have her back a little earlier.
Yeah, but I think it was on balance probably a good thing that they actually did keep her a little bit longer, because they could observe and really make sure.
Yeah. They also were. Sorry.
Yes. Sorry.
when we did pick her up, I mean, they practically, you know, they sent us everything. I wanted to buy a guinea pig cage. Well, they gave us one, and a really big one. And they gave us newspaper to put on the bottom of it, and they gave us towels, so that the hog can roll up in them. And I have to say, towels were a revelation. I mean,
she loves the towels.
She loves the towels.
She rolls up in them. She claws in them.
Yeah.
You know, it really is her sort of leaf and moss substitute. Yeah.
And they gave us a transport box as well, and they gave us cat food.
And food,
lots and lots of food, and an instruction sheet on how to look after her. And we had to give them 2 promises. The first promise is that if she was feeling poorly, that we had to drop off again. Yeah. And the second one was that not to release her without calling up with her. Yeah. And with that, they sent us home, which was great.
It was good. I mean, you know, they had a full plan and equipment and everything. So I mean, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah. I would. I think rescue centre. Even if you intend to bring the hog home, I would definitely bring them.
They have a lot of expertise. Definitely.
Yeah. That brings us to the tricky subject.
Yeah, they told us. We thought perhaps we've got a boy hedgehog, didn't we?
Well,
initially.
The initial names that we had were Cactus, Spike, Pokemon for some reason.
Yeah.
Was there
Urchin.
Urchin was one that we wanted. Hedgehogs were originally called urchins. That's why sea urchins are sea urchins and not just urchins, because sea urchins are named after the hedgehog, which used to be called urchins. Now only baby hedgehogs are still called urchins. Yeah. But I quite liked urchin, but it's quite male. I'm actually very pleased that she's female. Yeah. I mean, I much prefer her, but it kind of changed the whole name search.
Yeah. So we tried.
The front runner, the early front runner, was Prickly Patel. But she's probably one of the most unpopular politicians in the country.
Yeah, we didn't think we could do that to our poor rescue hedgehog.
And then
to balance it off, we went for Angela Eagle.
Yeah, whereby eagle is the German word for hedgehog, so that's why that works. And then the one that we decided with in the end was Hedgewig. So like Hedwig as in the owl, but Hedgewig because it's a hedgehog. And that was pretty good. I mean, we have had a couple of minor scuffles because I keep referring to her as him purely by the fact that it's a hedgehog. A hog by definition is male. And so where is the hedgehog? He is over there. And then she'd complain. Yeah.
Hedgehog.
I know she's a sow, but hedgehog is implicitly male. So where is the hedgehog? She is over there. It's not hedge sow, is it? It's a hedgehog.
It's a female hedgehog.
Hedgehog. Hog.
Sow.
Right. So you see how unreasonable my wife is.
Sow.
That brings us quite nicely.
Need more girls.
Yeah, we do. We have. This is a very male household. That brings us nicely to the home setup, which the most important thing is that it gets its own room. That was quite
Yeah.
important. Not shed. I mean, they wanted it quite warm.
Yeah.
You
So
have
above 18 degrees, otherwise they might go
well.
back into
I don't think it was
hibernation.
quite that warm, but the idea is that they don't hibernate.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the thing. We found outside when it was maybe like 8 or 9 degrees.
I think it dropped lower at some points.
Yeah,
It
but
was
when we
frost.
actually the day I found
Oh, the
her,
day you found
it
her,
wasn't
yeah,
that
it
warm.
wasn't- No.
So, and she wasn't
Signals.
hibernating then, but that's the real problem. If they don't have enough fat, they can't hibernate. And so you need a quiet room, you need to have it reasonably warm. And the other thing we did is we put her near the window. And that is to try and give her a bit of a day-night cycle. Although that hasn't been all that successful.
No, I mean, it's nighttime.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we're
she's
doing
very
this at
dozy.
night time, but actually she's actually much happier at the moment in the daytime.
Yeah.
I mean, what happens in practice is we muck her out twice a day. We muck her out once in the morning and once in the evening. And we're trying to kind of like stick to the evening schedule, but she's quite grumpy in the evening. I mean, she's quite
Yeah.
grumpy now.
She is. She doesn't-
I dare not touch
Yeah,
her.
she doesn't want handling.
Yeah.
She was a completely different
Yeah,
hog
she
in
was
the-
very
in the
friendly this
daytime.
morning. Yeah.
And she was actually quite curious and,
Yeah.
sniffed around a bit.
To be fair, she didn't used to be like that. I mean, when we first got her, she was very shy. She'd have a sort of, she'd always wrap into the ball
Yeah.
and she'd start shaking.
And she'd
And,
face away from you as
Yes,
well.
and
very
especially
distinctly.
when we mucked her out, what happens is we muck her out, mucking out takes about 5-10 minutes. And so we just put her on the floor. We have a wood floor in the lounge. And the very first thing she'd do is she'd run away and find a crack somewhere,
Yeah.
some.
And hide her head.
That's it,
literally,
and
just-
stick her head in it. That's
Yeah.
clearly the vulnerable spot,
Yeah.
and just show her spiky bottom.
Yeah.
And then have to try and dig her out of there and put her back in her cage when you're done. She's always happy to go back in her cage. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, in the wild, supposedly hedgehogs travel up to 2 kilometers an evening.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, we let her out in the
And
lounge.
she'd
it'd
have a
be-
run around and enjoy
Yeah.
the fact that.
Well, it'd be like
you
a
know,
prison yard,
Oh.
You at least get to go in a circle.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
she's no interest. Very, very little interest.
Yeah.
I thought about building her a running wheel. I haven't bothered. I don't think it'd be appreciated. To be fair, that might be changing. Yeah. I mean, when she had less weight, she was. I mean, by now we are on the 5th of well, when we got her back from the sanctuary, she was already on 504 grams, and
Yeah.
that was on the 5th of January, and by now she's on 590, and that was on the 11th January. That was a couple of days ago.
A few days ago.
But yes, they put on weight like mad, and I think by now she's no longer in that sort of I must conserve energy.
I think so.
And so maybe she's just that little bit more inquisitive.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I mean, it's nice to see that she's relaxing a little bit. Although right now she's a bit grumpy. She's much more curious.
Yeah.
One of the great things. I mean, I wondered if she was going to be a little bit smelly, but she really.
No, very,
I mean-
very, very smell neutral.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing really that I mean, this is we muck her out. To be fair, I mean, I guess if you just leave her,
Oh, that would be awful though.
well,
like-
it would. But you know,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. My mother said that they supposedly be smelly.
But
Not a
haven't-
bit. Not a bit.
If with proper care and maintenance, obviously
Yeah, wonderful.
daily mucking out or twice daily
Yeah.
mucking out, there is no smell, nothing.
The only thing you do have is you have a very, very spiky animal, and it is easy to underestimate how spiky she is. I have these are kind of big padded British Army leather gloves, and I would not handle her unless I have the sort of rubberized builder gloves, and she pokes straight through that. Yeah, so she's very spiky. So yeah, it's not the sort of animal you can cuddle.
Okay, no.
And supposedly they still. I mean, she still likes it when I pet her back. That that does get little happy gruntle noises.
Yeah, and she stretches out a little bit as well.
Oh yeah, she does. She does enjoy it, but they're still spikes. It's not fur.
No.
So so that's something to look out for, and especially as she was at some stage we had her when we weighed her, we had her on the table, and she did a little sniffle. Went off the scales to the edge of the table, had a look down, and then went for it. And obviously, I was anticipating it, and I caught her, and in those rubber gloves as well, and that was quite painful. So
She
there are
didn't
two
seem-
lessons there.
She didn't seem to
Yeah.
to even realise that was the edge of the table and that she was going to face a 1.5 foot drop.
Yeah, so you need good gloves, and I would not let her sit on tables or edges.
Yeah, or anything high.
Well, I've actually Googled this, and supposedly what they do is they roll into a ball and like bounce a little and then run away. But I think that
We've
might
only just rescued her. I think.
Yeah,
we
that's
don't really have to try that sort of thing.
that does sound like complete crap, doesn't it?
Well, I'm still not about to try it. Not with our rescue.
Well, it's not a question of trying it. It's just not right. So the thing is, don't put on a table and leave her unattended.
Yeah.
So you really have to look after her when you have her out.
Yeah.
Well, all that's really left then is a very quick sum up.
Yeah.
And that is that when we found her on the 4th of December, if it would have been a month earlier, judging by how quickly she can put on weight, and if we wouldn't have had frost at that stage, I would probably have tried feeding her up and tried giving her the extra weight. I think, you know, there seems to be a bit of, if you find a hedgehog in September or beginning of October, people start putting them on scales and say, oh, it's only 599 grams.
The thing is, it's still quite warm in September and October. You still have insects and natural hedgehog food. I mean, there's still a big part of it that says this can't be a natural state of affairs for her. It must be a little bit weird to be in a cage.
Well, the point is, you need to rescue them if they are under 600 grams at the last possible time, would be the thing that I take away from it. If it's not the last possible time yet, and the last possible time is effectively when it gets very cold. I mean, you've seen it even after 2 days of frost, she was out again.
Yeah.
Provided you still have time, I would just try feeding them, because I mean this thing exploded.
Yeah.
And she put on 100 grams in a week. So if you have 3-4 weeks time, you can really get weight on them. So it might be an idea to just keep feeding them. Of course, if you do run out of road and it's coming up to, you know, or they say snow or something like that, it's always worth grabbing them, putting them on the scale, and if you are in colder climate, they say under 600, and you should keep her. Down here in Surrey, you might have a little bit more leeway, but I would always, worst case, you should always keep her and then contact a sanctuary.
Yeah.
And go from there. I think that has been the sanctuary has been really good, overwhelming positive experience.
Yeah, but I think generally, you know, rescuing a hedgehog has been a positive experience.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I would say is that realistically she's a wild animal, and you can't.
No, I mean there's no expectation that we're going to keep her.
Well, obvious, but you can't. She doesn't want to cuddle.
No.
You know, you can stroke her a little bit, and realistically though, she wants to be. When you're mucking out, we tend to put her on the floor, and then she's happy and she'll run away, and she's happiest when there's no one about.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not happy to see us. She's quite happy on her own,
and
realistically, that's what we're going for, because we don't want her to become too. Accustomed to humans.
Yeah.
I mean, you always want to maintain that that fear response, just a little bit.
A little bit of distance.
Yeah,
isn't it?
but one of the reasons I really wanted to do this is because I got this series that we're doing is because I found an awful lot of footage, but it was all 2.5 minutes long, and it didn't add up to a diary of keeping a wild hog over the winter. And I think that was really needed, because I actually went into it with a lot more worries which were quite unfounded.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been very easy, wonderful.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Very good.
Yeah. Definitely recommend doing it if you get the chance and you have the space.
That's the one.
Yeah.
So we will now put her back in her nice, warm, tropical corner, and I think she's sleeping again. I don't think there's any reaction. I think she's dozed off. I have to say, she still owes us a poo today, so you know I handle her with some trepidation. She does a poo morning and evenings, although she hasn't eaten all that much today.
She might be slowing up actually.
Yeah, see, I think as she's gained weight, she's definitely slowed up. Well, what we'll do, I will get her out one more time. We will wave goodbye to you now. Bye bye. But stay here, because we'll get her out one more time. We'll put her in a little transport case, and we'll put her back into the warm place. But I don't want to carry her in the cage, in case she starts sloshing around, and I shall find it quite distressing.
Yeah.
So we'll put her in a nice ball of towels. She'll be happy with that. And that's how we brought her back from the rescue as well, and that was a great success. When we drove there, we had her in a box.
Plastic box. It was terrible.
Yeah,
Because she slid around and she was terrified.
So
poor thing.
that's perhaps the one thing we should have still mentioned.
Yeah.
But we'll do that now. So we'll say goodbye now, and we'll have Hedwig say goodbye to you, and then we will see you in the next video in the series. Okay, Hedwig, time to go home. Oh. You alright, girl? She's not sleeping.
Oh, she's not. She's
No, I
just
think we're too
sheltering.
loud. So, okay, girl, I'm going to get you out, okay? Nice and careful. There we are. Okay. Wait, let's give you a little stroke first. Yes, I know. We'll put you back in your box, then you can sleep, okay? And if you're a good girl, we'll give you a nice bit of apple tonight. You can try that. Come on. There we go. See, this is a hedgehog in a ball. But if you put her flat on your hand, you can give her a little bit of a stroke on the back. She likes that. And then she comes out. Right, Hedwig, do you want to say bye-bye? Okay, goodbye then. See you next time.